everyone. Welcome to another episode of Coffee with the Critters, where we do a weekly live stream every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern. That's right, Rock. Right here from the Animal Behavior Center. Located. Good morning, Adrian. Good morning, Steve. The Animal Behavior Center is located in Northwest Ohio, but the location doesn't matter because our business is full of live streams. That is what we do. Good morning, Bobby. Happy Mother's Day to everybody. Hopefully everybody has some kind of great day planned with their family. Thank you, Bobby. Family, friends, or critters. That's right, Rock. So, good morning, Susan. Good morning, everybody. Yes, it's a beautiful day here in Northwest Ohio as well, Adrian. Good morning, Lee. Peekaboo. Good morning, Mano. And I don't want to keep everybody on here because I know it's Mother's Day, but I wanted to do a unique session of Coffee with the Critters. Good morning, Lydia from Southern Ohio. Anyways, this episode of Coffee with the Critters, good morning, Sandy. I thought I'd take advantage of it being Mother's Day. What are you doing back there, Rico? What are you doing? Good morning, Brianna. I'm going to do a unique episode and do a real quick introduction of all the animals here at the center. Good morning, Ashley. So the Animal Behavior Center is an international educational center where we teach people across the world about interacting with animals using positive reinforcement and applied behavior analysis. I'm going to do an episode next week, probably on understanding applied behavior analysis. I was planning on doing that today because a lot of times when I use, good morning, Felicia, happy Mama's Day to you too, and thank you everyone for sharing this live stream, where we go live every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern. And we pick different topics on animal behavior, training, and enrichment. That's right, Rocky. I just recorded a podcast yesterday morning, getting ready to get uploaded to the membership called Using Curiosity as a Reinforcer. Tickle, tickle. And what you're looking at is curiosity here. So why do we hang toys on the outside of cages? Well, if we're getting the behavior we want, why not? Rico is a master forager. I've taught him to forage at the age of 5 months. And we need his enrichment to last longer. Good morning, Julie. Good morning, Steve. So this is a great occupier of his time. And a lot of times I talk about if you want to change a behavior, you need to replace it with another. So this is what we do. This is why we're so huge into foraging and enrichment. That's right. Good morning, Janet. Somebody asked if any of the animals here is a mother. No. Maybe our fish, but that's about it. Morning, Deb. So anyways, yeah, I've got a lot of animals that I want to, what do you got going on there, Kronos? I'll go around and tell the story of each animal, but stick around because I've got the introduction of several other people that help make this center be what it is today. There's Willie on her station. So a lot of times, that's Willie, the education turkey vulture here for training. A lot of times this is our enrichment room, this next room here. And sometimes Willie is a very curious animal. I love working with curious animals. I try to make sure I never punish that behavior because that behavior can be a great reinforcer for future desired behaviors. Here you're looking at a kitty window mat that we put in for the lemur. Good morning, Ashley. But anyways, a lot of times Willie likes to go to this door and take a look at people. And that's not necessarily, if people need to get in and out of that door, that's not necessarily something they want to see. So what we do is we intentionally put her perched there because she likes to stare at people in their cage, which this room would be their cage. So that is the replacement behavior. So we make it very easy for her to get the behavior we want and get her away from the door, which is the behavior that we want. So anyways, let me take a quick scroll around. And for those that may not, good morning, Tracy. This is Kronos, the African pied crow, here for training from Indian Creek Zoo, who will soon be going back to the zoo probably within the next week or two. Right, Kronos? What? And he's got poopy head, so he's probably going to start talking, and that's usually a behavior we do like to see. Right, Kronos? What are you doing? What do you think? Hi. So he just got done looking at me straight in the eye, and I just included in the podcast how social complexity is one of the most intricate forms of enrichment for an animal if you're working with a social animal, which is why we've moved Kronos and Coco into this room here. What are you doing? Kronos he's doing a behavior that we taught him. That was a behavior to help because Kronos came here afraid of hands, and so we taught him to stick his beak through a cage bar for a period of seconds. Let me show you real quick. So we just say, beak, good. So that behavior, this was an exercise we taught him to help counter condition his fear of being afraid of hands. So a couple of seconds, he's supposed to, okay, he's like, give me some treats. Beak, good. And we shape this behavior of his proximity, getting closer to the cage bars. Beak, good. And we pair it with a positive reinforcer. So Kronos is probably, I'm going to say he's about 3 years old, and he'll be heading back to the zoo soon. Good morning, Jennifer. Happy Mother's Day. He'll be heading back to the zoo soon, but this cage will quickly be occupied by another animal that has never been here from a zoo that's coming in for training. Beak, good. So I saw that one coming. So that's an undesired behavior where he will, if he's not comfortable with something or looks like he may be frustrated, crows will jab and stab you with that beak, and it doesn't feel good. So unfortunately, Kronos will be heading back soon, and I'll be showing the trainers at the zoo the different behaviors we've taught him. So when I first started working with Kronos, I don't know if you guys remember, it was at the zoo, and I could not approach his cage looking at him. I had to walk in backwards, and I would use the viewfinder on my phone, turn it around so I could see where he was. Then we had to shape proximity. He has come a long way, a very long way. He used to be afraid of the broom because they didn't know any other way to clean his enclosure but use the broom as a negative reinforcer to get him away from where they wanted him. So we've counter-conditioned that behavior, and we now go in, several people go in, especially Sandy, and we sweep his cage. So several of you guys have seen how we set up the cage. How do you set up a cage to be cleaned for an animal that is afraid of people? He's come a long way. He's been a great educator of so many here, and I appreciate that. Good morning, Caitlin. So then we have Suki. Suki is our blue-fronted Amazon. Good morning, Carol. Suki, I found her outside several years ago. What, like 6, 7, 8 years ago? Sad that he'll be going, but glad he's made so much progress. Yeah. And one thing I'm really careful with since training, using positive reinforcement training, is one of the best forms of relationship I have found with any animal. That's why I train. I'm really careful because I don't like to show an animal a way of life that cannot continue. And We take our work here very seriously. Good morning, Kelly. So Suki is one of the few animals we have here that I actually got to name, because usually animals come here from other places, and I don't have that opportunity or that luxury to work with them at such a young age. Suki came to us. I found her outside several years ago. I got a phone call from somebody saying if I didn't take their Amazon, they were going to turn it out loose outside, and I said, please don't do that. It will not survive. This is not an animal reared in the wild. It will not know how to survive. And green parrots aren't native to North America. Well, not now. Well, let me rephrase that. They're starting to be once again. She will quickly become hawk food. So we took her in, we searched for owners, nobody claimed her. I found a home for her, and I asked the home, I said, I am not expecting to take in a blue-fronted Amazon. I know you have one. Would you like to take her? And they said yes. And I said, are you going to clip her wings? And they said, yes, we have no choice. And I said, I'm sorry. I see the spirit in this bird. If you take that flight away from her, it will dampen that spirit. So we are the proud owners of a blue-fronted Amazon. That's how Suki came to us. And now she lives in this nice large enclosure, and she flies out there and is attracted to every bird that is around her. And here we have the lovely Coco.
What you thinking, Coco? Hi, Coco. Hi, baby.
I've known Coco for a year and a half. Coco was housed at a zoo, one of the zoos I consulted with on a weekly basis. And I asked if they would surrender Coco to me with the intention of rehoming him. I'm still not objected to that. If somebody can show me they can give him a good home, that's going to be tough, because I'm getting very attached to Coco, but that is not a problem for me. That is not a problem for me because I've been doing this for years, where I take in animals, and usually for a long period of time.
What you thinking, Coco? Hi, baby. What are you thinking?
I take in animals usually for a long period of time for training, and then I give them back to the organization and show the organization how I got the behaviors that they need, which is how our live streaming comes in. I'm going to back away because I don't necessarily like to see the foot come through the cage bars. Yeah, I love Coco too. We think we don't know much about him. We know he can't fly, and we think he's an older wild caught. You're attached to Coco too, Donna. Happy Mother's Day, Stacy. So Coco is making a lot of progress. We like to see him off the ground. So this is what he does. He chews up his toys and then scatters the toy parts at the bottom, and he goes to the bottom and nests. And we are trying to redirect that behavior, because a lot of times nesting behaviors will bring on other behaviors that could be labeled as aggressive, and you'll see the animal get more aggressive around its cage. So there's Coco. He's here. We hope he stays a long time, but I will always do what's in the best interest of the animal. Even I get super attached to animals, but I know if they can have a better life somewhere else, I have no problem making that happen for them. Sorry to hear that, April. I know. There's Lee. Cockatoo nesting nest. Yes, Lee and I are both dealing with the same thing, and we're working on that through the Parrot Project. And Lee, you are making great strides. Great strides. So let's move on to, here's Ollie. Ollie came to us. He had a mate, she died, and so we changed his environment dramatically. He is now housed in here, but we get him out throughout this area almost on a daily basis to empower him. And he is such a funny bird. He's so attracted to Suki. Suki can't stand him. And I said, now you know how Murray feels, Suki. So Ollie is probably about 4 years old and came to us from a trainer in Massachusetts who had or needed to continue vet school, and I told her we would give Ollie and Butters a great home, and hopefully we did. Let me see what Deb, why no feel through the cage bar? My Mewtwo Magoo does that all the time. Is it bad? Oh, not necessarily, Deb. Not necessarily. I just don't know. A lot of times I don't want to see it with Coco. And what I mean is some behaviors are contextual. It depends on the individual bird, the individual situation. If I can't identify the behavior and its meaning right away, I will hold off on it and try not to reinforce it until I do more training to understand what that behavior means. When Coco reaches through the cage bars with his feet like that, I see it and I'm still trying to identify it. I see it a lot of times as overstimulation, and a lot of us know that overstimulation with several different animals, not just birds, can quickly lead to, I don't want to turn it into any type of aggressive behavior. So this is his abnormal repetitive behavior that we've watched change through the months, and it's changing for the better. Right, Coco? A lot of abnormal repetitive behaviors develop out of not able to get to what they want. So there it is. It's lessening over the months, but it's still there, and it's still strong. So bear with me, because we're going to move on to all different animals, and then we're going to move on to some people. So this is Murray. He's our green-winged macaw that just turned 13, and we got him at a department store here locally that, what, Coco? That had him to entertain children while the parents shopped. When we first brought him home, I found him a home. What are you thinking, Rocketickle? We found him a home in Kansas that fell through, and Murray resides here as well.
We're coming. Hang on. Rocky's like, it's my show. It's my show.
Hey, Jude. So Rocky is one of the few birds that we have here that's not flighted.
Hi, Rocky. What are you? We're coming. Hang on.
And that is one of Coco's mini vocalizations. And so I'm looking at, what is he looking at? He's looking at Rico. And we've been trying to socialize all three cockatoos. And it's working out great. But Murray came to us from a department store, and he was supposed to come in for training and rehome. Sorry about the noise level. Happy Sunday morning. Wakey, wakey, everybody. And Murray is a great educator here. Many people that come to us to learn how to train different animals. Murray is a great bird to put a beginner or somebody who does not understand birds or somebody who does not understand training. He's been a great teacher over the years. So I don't handle Murray much anymore. So what we do here is the different volunteers, a couple of different volunteers have want to train Murray, so I'm overseeing some of their training with the intention of everybody being able to pick him up, handle him, trim his toenails, which we work on, many things. And then here, who is so patiently waiting, this is the mascot of the center. This is Rocky. that we nickname Rocky Valentine. He's got, all of our animals here have many nicknames. Rocky Valentine. I also, you'll hear me call him Doo. My husband nicknamed him Rocky Doo Doo. So a lot of times I just call him Doo. Rocky Valentine, Mr. Pink. He is 20 years old this year, and we celebrate his hatch day on October 14th, which is the day I acquired him several years ago. Now what are you doing, Coco? Now what are you doing, Coco? What are you thinking, Coco? Hi. So he seems to be following me around the cage, so I can tell attention maybe is a reinforcer. For what behavior? That is to be determined. So this is Rocky, 20 years old. Many people that come to the center fall in love with Rocky. Rocky, I found him at a shelter and several years ago, and he had several different issues, and it was highly suggested to me by a couple of different people that he be put to sleep for his behavior issues. Thank God I didn't do that. Instead, I went back to school and started taking master's classes in applied behavior analysis to better learn behavior and how to modify behavior. He is now the mascot of the center, why the Animal Behavior Center exists, based around his story, because based on who was telling me to put him to sleep, I seriously considered it because I didn't know what else to do. And I was given professional advice that this is what needed to happen. So I went back to school, started taking master's classes in applied behavior analysis, and asked that he please not be put to sleep, give me time to learn, and try to modify and change this behavior. That's a tough story to tell that I usually tell because there's a lot of detail to that. So I was told, you've got 4 weeks. I can't study fast enough in 4 weeks. But I learned enough to show that I could change behavior, and please give him more time. And Rocky is now a resident here of the Animal Behavior Center, and he teaches many, many people. And he is now one of the sweetest animals here that can be picked up by almost anyone. He loves men, loves men. So he is a great educator to so many, and so many people that come here and do not know or understand birds end up falling in love with him. And he's got one of his biggest admirers coming to work with him, hopefully, the beginning of June. So that is Rocky Valentine, one of the apples of my eye. And next, what do you think, Coco? You're moving around your cage. Next is the absolute love of my life. That's Captain America. This is Rico. Also, what do you think? What do you think, Rico? This is Rico, also nicknamed Captain America, Twinkle Toes, Rico Von Squeakleton, Rico Kravitz, because he's so nosy. What did I say? Did I say Twinkle Toes? Did I say Twinkle Toes? Yes. And at night, when I close down the center, he is so funny. He sits up on that perch, and when I walk out the door, or try to walk out the door, he'll start saying, "But I love you." And he knows it works every single time, and I turn back around, and I come back in. Yeah, so Rico, what are you doing? What are you doing? Rico, he is the only animal that I have here. No, he's not. I've had Rico since he was 5 months old. And he will be 13 in 2 weeks. So Rico is another reason why I went back to school and started taking master's classes in applied behavior analysis, because I knew nothing about birds. Rico, why don't you come up here? Come up here. Can you come up here? Come on. Pipsqueak, get your butt up here. So here we have a toy hung on the inside of the cage and not next to a perch. We do that to build complexity. You gonna hand that to me? Let's see if he's trying to hand me something. You gonna push that out here? So Rico, when I first got Rico, I used to clip him because that's what I told needed to be done for a parrot in the home. And then I saw other people, a few other people living with flighted birds, and I was like, you know what? Something just doesn't seem right about this, about taking a natural behavior away from an animal. So I have on video where I did beginning stages of recall and watching Rico flap those wings for the first time, and it was one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. So since then, I have bought him 10,000 square foot building to fly, and I do take him out to different areas and fly him in different large buildings. Rico, I don't know if I've ever told anybody the story of how his name came. What are you thinking? Get your butt down here. So he's giving it back. Now give it back to him. Rico was unnamed for several weeks. I called him Isaac for a day. I wanted his name to be Isaac, and it just didn't fit him. So I told my husband, before this parrot gets used, well, get down here. Come here. Before this parrot gets used to being called Hey Bird, we better name him something. So one of my favorite songs is Copacabana. His name was Rico. He wore a diamond. And my husband's name is Freddie, and when he was a kid, one of his nicknames was Frederico. Oh, you gave it back to me. Good job. Thank you. Thank you. So my husband and I were sitting at the kitchen table with Rico on my arm, and Freddie said, my nickname used to be Frederico when I was a kid, and that song Copacabana came on at the same time. You gonna give that to me? Give it to me. And the line, his name was Rico, and I just looked at my husband and I said, Rico, it is. Because my husband bought Rico for me several years ago, almost 13 years ago, and this bird has changed my life. He was my introduction to birds. So that's, I don't want to say that's the story of Rico, because Rico's story is gargantuous. He's been one of my best educators, one of my most complex birds. So here, back to Rocky real quick. Rocky will attack a nail file. I did train him several years ago to allow me to file his nails, and I stopped training it, and a lot of you guys will hear me talk about regression. If a certain behavior, replacement behavior, stops bringing a positive reinforcer, other behaviors that once worked will start to reappear, and that's where we are right now with the nail file. He will attack it again because I've stopped training it for so long. So that's why we have this block, and Crystal here is training this. This is something Deb Jones started a year ago. So what we do is get him to touch that block, target his foot to that block, and then we're going to put sandpaper on the front and get Rocky to file his own nails. That would be a nice way to maintain keeping his nails short, but I do not want to take his veterinary experience away from him because he loves his vet. He loves to go see Dr. Myers. Don't ya? Yeah, so I don't take that vet experience away from him. A lot of the behaviors we train many animals here are vet behaviors in grooming and husbandry. Yep. So let's move on. There's the nesting behavior in Coco. And if I go close to his cage, that'll reinforce, the proximity will reinforce the undesired behavior of him lunging and charging. See who we have out here, as long as my internet connection stays strong. I hear ya. I hear ya. There's Milo. What? What do you think? Milo is our education mini pig, and he is a rock star, aren't you, Milo? We're working with him right now. Wow, here I thought the conversations had froze, but no, you guys are still commenting and I didn't scroll down. So yes, Rocky is a Moluccan cockatoo. Hey, Daphne. Sorry, I'm just catching up on everybody that joined that I didn't see my live stream continuing. Yep, okay, sorry. I'm going to have to scroll through. I see Michelle just joined. Here is Milo. Milo is an education mini pig. I don't know if you want to consider him mini because he's probably about 52 pounds right now. And a lot of pigs don't like to be picked up, but we show people how to pick them up with little to no stress. And something else you'll see with Milo, I can't remember how old Milo is going to be. I think he's going to be 3. But something else, we're working on voluntary hoof trims, showing people how to train voluntary hoof trims with him. He will hold and do amazing things at the vet clinic. Come here, Milo. Over here. Good. Can you come over here? Good. So you'll see Milo is getting his tusks. And as long as those don't create a health problem, I don't want to take those away. And several people come here and say, oh, we would cut those off so he doesn't hurt anybody. And my response is, don't show him how to use them. Don't reinforce behavior that teaches him that these tusks are used as a form of defense. So as long as it's healthy, we're going to let those big, beautiful tusks continue to come in. What we try not to do here is modify any type of, what are you doing, Willie? Is we don't try to change or modify body parts. Instead, we modify behavior. We focus on the behavior. So Milo does, he is a quick learner, Ashley. Milo does amazing things. What we're working on, the pig project right now, is getting him to station in that crate while we bring out Snow, our deaf and blind puppy, and reinforcing, never pushing Milo to the point where he has to lunge. Do I ever deal with beak growth in your birds? Yes, I do, Gail. And what I do, one thing we never do here is trim a beak on our parrots because they have herpes corpuscles in their beak and in their feet, which help them pick up vibrations that can be I can tell by watching their face because it was told to me that they need their beak dremelled. And instead of dremeling their beak, what I do is get them foraging for their food. That will naturally wear down their beak. If I see a beak here beginning to be overgrown, it's usually due to, that tells me they need more enrichment. If they don't know how, we teach them. So, thanks, Leslie. Do you ever neuter male pigs? Pet pigs, I mean. Milo came to us neutered. So, Milo is the only pig here. We've been offered several, and we can't take any more. I can't. The more animals I take in, the less time I have to give to these guys. We have a full enrichment team. Yep, good point, Pat. An overgrown beak may also be a sign of liver disease in parrots. Yeah, so if you have a parrot with an overgrown beak, I would definitely take it to the vet first. Good morning, Karen. Happy Mother's Day, Karen. So then we're going to move on here but we train Milo in the pig project, and we're currently working on nail trims, and we're working on this station in a crate. This is Willie. She's our education turkey vulture. She's not ours. She's not ours at all. Willie is our education turkey vulture, not ours. She's Nature's Nursery's education turkey vulture here for training. I know, Sharon. I gotta stop. Nature's Nursery is a wildlife rehab center located here in White House, Ohio, where I have volunteered for years, probably at least 8 to 9 years. So Willie's here temporarily for training. I thought she was 20, and I was told no, she is, why don't you fly to your station? She is going to be sweet 16 in July. Yeah, doesn't Willie look fabulous? When I first started training Willie several years ago, probably 8 years ago, I could not get into her enclosure. I couldn't even get next to her enclosure without her lunging and trying to attack. So the awesome director out at Nature's Nursery, Lara, let me put a training and cleaning team together, both, because if I'm training and cleaners are going in untraining what I'm training, you're putting desired or undesired behaviors on an intermittent schedule reinforcement, which means they're reinforced once in a while, will keep those behaviors very strong. So I needed everybody going into those enclosures understanding what we were training. So we worked great as a team, putting together both a training team and a cleaning team. What a powerhouse that was. So yeah, they think Willie is an imprint, which is why she cannot be released. They tried releasing her, and she kept returning to a school ground, interacting with children. That is not normal wild turkey vulture behavior. Good morning, Stephen. Why is the reason I've come to love and appreciate vulture? Oh, Willie is. Yes, I love working with vultures. Hey, Kitty. I love working with vultures. I love working with animals that are quick, witty, can be dangerous, because I like to show people how you can work around those behaviors. So yeah, this is currently Willie's cage. This is her cage. And she soars in here, and I love to see her soar. Willie is also probably one of my best educators. Let's see, I'm looking for Cello. Oh, don't have to look too far. So yeah, thank you everybody for sharing this. I'm trying to do something special for Mother's Day and want to give the stories of all the animals here. And you want to come down to me? Come on. I got nothing for you. And I'm going to introduce the volunteers here. So this is Cello. He is the mascot of our October event. You guys know why. Because he came here with the awesome Dr. Jason Crean brought him here for a presentation. Cello flew up into the rafters, and I said, is he recall trained? And Jason said no. And I said, oh, well, how are we going to get him out of the rafters? And he looked at me and he goes, would you like a pigeon? I said, I've always wanted a pigeon. So those of you that are members see the work that I'm doing with him, the beginning stages of teaching him to identify suits in a card, the different suits, and he's got the hearts and the clubs down, or the spades down pat. So Cello, I have no idea how old Cello is. I know he comes from Massachusetts. He is an education roller pigeon. We use him, or we don't use him. We have him teach people here the work of B.F. Skinner, since Skinner worked with a lot of pigeons. If you guys have never worked with a pigeon, they are awesome birds. All birds are awesome though. And there he goes to my shoulder. So is there a special project with him? Addison, we're working with Cello in the membership program currently. So there is not a pigeon project, but there is, we do a lot of work with him in level 1 and level 2 membership program. So I need to get Cello off of my shoulder. What you doing up there, buckwheat? So I can introduce you to a couple other animals here. Quincy, what are you doing? This is Quincy. Yay! Hey, Tambry. This is Quincy. She will be 4 years old on August 13th. Can you sit? Say no. Can you sit? Good girl. Can you tell me? Tell me. I can't hear you. You gotta tell me. Tell me. I didn't hear you. Tell me. You're a good girl. So this is, attention is a major reinforcer for the dogs. We have 3 dogs here. Where's the octopus? Not here yet, Nancy. I'm working on it. I'm working on it. I'm going to go visit an octopus yet this summer. Quincy. Quincy. Come here. Come here. Quincy will be 4 in August, and I was not looking for a Rottweiler. We named her Quincy. My mom and dad got Quincy for me for a particular reason. And yes, and she said, what? Yeah. And she, nice job. She's got a job to do here, and she does it very well. Quincy's registered name is Quincy's Flight of Fancy. She is a protector of the animals here. She does that well. And I named her Quincy. I'm coming, Snow. Hang on. I named her Quincy. She is named after a town that I used to live in and where I used to work. Believe it or not, I used to work construction right after I was out of college. It was my dad's construction company, and I used to go up and help pour concrete. Yep. Do all kinds of landscaping, all kinds of things. So she is named after the town I came from, Quincy, where I used to have both of my Dalmatians that used to go to work with me every day. I told my dad, I said, I will come and work for you if you allow me to bring my dogs to work with me. So how's that for coercion? It worked. That's the reinforcer behind why we continue to use it. So yeah. Quincy is one of the most loyal dogs I have ever seen. You could believe me in construction, Eva? Yeah. Yeah, those were fun days. Fun days. So when I started the Animal Behavior Center, I did want to get a dog, but I had every intention of getting one that came through a rescue. Instead, I have 3. With 2 that have come in through a rescue. So, which moves me on to Levi. Levi is one of the few animals here that I had the luxury of being able to name. Levi is our deaf Old English Bulldog. Look at that mug. Happy Mother's Day. Look at that face. Look at that face. He is, I had a breeder contact me. I didn't even know this person was breeding dogs, and she said, I have an Old English Bulldog. I think he's deaf. I don't want to have to put him down. And I said, I don't understand. Why would you put him down? And she said she didn't want him to fall into the wrong hands. So before asking anymore, I just said, will you relinquish the dog to me? I will take it and let me find it a home. So I did. It's home. Foster fail, my first foster fail. I was told I was going to fail and not be able to place this dog, and they were correct. So this is Levi. He's our Old English Bulldog. He came here for training, also found him a home that fell through, and he just resided here. And I got a lot of people, a lot of you people, that said, why do you not just keep him and teach people how to train deaf animals? So volunteering in a wildlife rehabilitation center, working with deaf and blind, disabled, different types, have been great educators of mine in the work that I do, because it makes me think outside the box. So Quincy and Levi, they did great together. So here he stays. So that way, that brings me to Snowball. She is our deaf and blind. I'll let her know I'm here. Maybe I just stand here because she'll find out I'm here by smelling me. There, she's like, okay, somebody's here. This is Snow. I won't go in detail because I just gave her whole story yesterday. She is our deaf and blind puppy that we drove to North Carolina to get back in November. And she's fabulous. I cannot bring her in the center right now because the pig is out there and the pig will charge her. I don't expect people to think training deaf and blind is easy. It's not. But what my purpose is with Snow, and Snow's purpose, is to show people how animals adapt and how they learn. If they can use, Quincy, why are you trying to sit on Snow? If they can use their other senses, they will adapt. She has a great sense of smell. Did you guys see the video I just posted this morning of her here on the Animal Behavior Center's Facebook page, showing how she interacts with somebody she's never met before? So before too much longer, I want to take the rest of this time, sit, stay, and introduce you for Mother's Day to all the awesome mothers we have here at the Animal Behavior Center. I want to introduce you to those. You had to invent Snow's training when you got her. Yeah, I've done no research on working with deaf and blind. I go with it. I go with what works. So let me show you this. These are all of the people, not all, but most of the people that volunteer here at the Animal Behavior Center. So I wanted to take this time to introduce you to them, since none of them are here on Sundays. This is Karen Pratt. She is, I consider her a mother here of all animals. Karen is our manager here, and she comes in several days a week. Hey, Rico. Hi, what are you doing? Taking care of all the animals. She does a lot of the work behind the scenes that many of you don't see. She's in charge of our membership program, which has turned out to be a monster, so this is not anything easy for her. She does a lot of that work behind the scenes. Whenever there's a problem, an issue, we've had accidents here, I don't even have to say anything and Karen just shows up. She has a heart of gold, and it is an honor to have her here. So I want to give a huge shout out to Karen Pratt. And then I'm going to, I want to introduce Sandy Pratt. Karen and Sandy, she is fantastic, isn't she, Ashley? Karen and Sandy have been here almost since day one. The Animal Behavior Center is 4.5 years old. And they have both been on board since we've started. Working here is not necessarily easy, okay? And volunteering here is not easy, because behavior is our primary concern and our primary focus. And so there's a lot to watch. Sandy is here 4 days a week, and she's usually here on Sundays, but I gave her the day off to hang out with her awesome mama. Sandy is Karen's daughter, and Sandy has a real gift. She's very in tune with all of the animals, and she reads them, and she has a heart of gold, a true heart of gold. I trust my animals, and when I take off, it's Karen and Sandy that are usually coming in full time and taking care of these guys every single day. Very thoughtful and loving Mother's Day live stream gift to all of us. Oh, thanks, Nancy. Thank you. So I think Karen's on here right now as the Animal Behavior Center. She just commented, yes. So I want to wish a happy Mother's Day to Sandy as well. She has several animals of her own that she cares for at home, and she pours her heart and soul into each of them. So thank you, Sandy, for all the work you do here for all the animals. And then I'm introducing okay, let's go over here to Angie. Angie's been, this is Angie Cananaline. She's awesome. I love her. I've known Angie for several years before the Animal Behavior Center even started. I know her. She used to volunteer out at Nature's Nursery as well. She knows Willie very well. Angie's been with us, I want to say, coming up on a year. Angie, and it's like I said, volunteering here isn't necessarily easy, because in order to volunteer here, I require 2 days a week, at least 4 hours a day. Angie is awesome. She's the one that puts together the cockatoo toys. So, true heart of gold, very fun, very strong person, and definitely one we hold in high value here. She's the awesome mother of a couple of her own kids, and happy Mother's Day to Angie. You guys see them in our live streams throughout the week. Then I'm going to move on to, let's pick Crystal. Crystal just started with us almost a year ago. Crystal Phelps, there she is walking on a tightrope. Crystal's work is pretty fascinating. She's a fun girl, very fun. She's been here almost a year. She has fallen in love with Rocky. Right, Rico? Sorry. Everybody falls in love with you. She has fallen in love with Rocky, and she is wanting to understand and work more with birds. And some of the things she has learned here, she's taking home to her own dog. So Crystal is graduating this week with her master's degree, and she is also our social media director here. So I want to give a huge shout out and a big happy Mother's Day, and thank you for helping and taking care of all of the animals here as well, Crystal. Then I'm going to go on to Lindsay Douglas, who is heading to Africa soon. Envious in a good way. This is Lindsay. Lindsay has been with us. Karen, do you know how long Lindsay's been here? Lindsay was only going to come here for 6 months, and she said she couldn't volunteer any longer. Lindsay's been with us well over a year. What a fun, free spirit girl. This girl makes me laugh on a daily basis. And she is one of the reasons we brought the ostriches here for training, because she said it was her dream animal to work with. So I said, okay, Lindsay, I got a surprise for you. And she's like, what? I said, 4 ostriches are coming in for training. And I think at that moment she peed her pants. So I like to give back. I like to positively reinforce behaviors I want to see increase. We want to see Lindsay stay here with us. She is a very valuable volunteer. And so she was only supposed to be with us 6 months. She now continues. She's been with us well over a year. And I don't think she has any plans of leaving. We do not have a high turnover of volunteers here. When volunteers come in, they usually stay for long periods of time. It's just a little over a year. Okay. And then we've got, I want to move on to Michelle Peel. This is somebody you do not see often here. She is working very hard behind the scenes right now for the upcoming October event. Sorry. So he looks like he's talking to Rico. Maybe not. Michelle Peel is the MC of our October event, and you guys will see her here. Thanks, Vicky. Thank you. Yeah, this is a special Mother's Day live stream for all the mothers we have here. And I want to give a huge shout out to Michelle, who just recently adopted her own deaf dog. And you'll start seeing more of Michelle here because the October event is not too far away. So happy Mother's Day to you, Michelle, and thank you for all the hard work and dedication you put in here. I think her favorite animal here is Levi. And I just wanted to, that's me. I just wanted to show this because I get a lot of people asking about my personal page. You will never see me post anything personal on Facebook. Let me take that back. I just post all about animals. That's my personal Facebook page. I have a sloth up there right now because we almost got a sloth in for training. It may not be out of the works, but instead we've agreed to take on a different animal that I've worked with before, but very little. Anyways, I want to give a huge shout out to all the volunteers here and thank them for the awesome work they do. Happy Mother's Day to, a peekaboo to you, Rocky. Happy Mother's Day to everybody watching this live stream, whether you have kids of your own, skinned, feathered, furry, scaly, what have you. Happy Mother's Day, everybody. I'm gonna go ahead and end this live stream so I can go hang out with my mama. All right? Thank you. Love you too, Karen. Love you guys all very much. Thank you for making the Animal Behavior Center what it is. It would not be anything without any of you. Thank you, guys. Have a great, awesome rest of your weekend and a happy Mother's Day.